Hi, I'm Jenny Kawaja, and I'm thrilled to be here today to bake one of my favorite holiday goodies with you, a pumpkin pie. Pie making went out the window when we first became gluten-free. I'm happy to say those days are over with this dough recipe. Now for this recipe, I use a combination of butter and cream cheese for the fats. For your butter, select a really high quality butter. I use a European style cultured butter, and it just gives a beautiful sweet flavor to your dough. I also use a cream cheese. This helps reduce the fat in your dough, and it also adds a soft texture. For the flours, I use a combination of an all-purpose blend as well as sorghum flour. And those two flours come together to create a tender and flaky pie dough crust. Now there's a couple of key things to make a pie dough come together beautifully. The first is to keep all of your ingredients cold. For your butter, cube your butter, put it in tin foil, and place it in the freezer for about 15 minutes before you start making your dough. For your cream cheese and cream, keep both of those ingredients in the fridge until they're ready to be added to the dry ingredients. So cold, cold, cold is a big part of your pie dough coming together beautifully. The second tip is to use a glass baking dish. A glass baking dish allows better transfer of heat. You can also see what's happening to your pie crust. Now, one of the things I like to use is a pie crust protector. With all that butter in that dough recipe, it likes to brown up pretty quickly. And this protector helps keep it from getting overly brown. Most dough recipes call for a lot of rest and refrigeration time, and this dough is just the same. It's really important to allow those flours to hydrate during the rest time and to keep everything cold with proper refrigeration. And that really helps produce that flaky crust that we really like. To pull this recipe together, you're going to start with your dry ingredients in the food processor. Run the processor for about 30 seconds to combine all of those ingredients. Then you can add your cream cheese. Again, let the mixer run for about another 30 seconds to make sure the cream cheese distributes evenly. After the cream cheese, you can add your butter. Make sure to pull your butter directly from the freezer and add it into the food processor. After the butter is evenly distributed, you can add your cream and your water. The water is there just to pull the pie dough together. So if your dough is coming together with only 1 or 2 tablespoons of water, don't feel like you need to go all the way up to 3 tablespoons of water. When the dough comes together, it's going to form a big ball in the food processor. That's great. That's exactly what you want. You want to let that ball roll around, and then you know you're done and you're ready to refrigerate your dough. You can transfer it to plastic wrap. I like to do an initial refrigeration time of at least 2 hours. This gives the dough just a lot of time to relax and become cold again. While your dough is refrigerating, you can switch gears to make your pumpkin pie filling. This pumpkin pie filling comes together really nicely over heat. To start, you're going to combine your pumpkin puree, brown sugar, all of your spices and salt, and you're going to bring it to a boil. As soon as you've reached that point, you want to turn it down to simmer for about 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, you can add your condensed milk, your cream, and your eggs and your vanilla. Give it a good whisk to combine, and then let it sit at room temperature to cool off before you're going to bake your pie. For the dough rolling, I like to form a ball with my dough first, flour it everywhere, and then push it into a circular disc. You can kind of guide the edges as you do that, and then place it in the middle of your wax paper. After your sheet of dough has had a chance to rest in the fridge for an hour, you can pull it out and get ready to mold it into your pie dish. After your pie dough has had its last rest and refrigeration time, you can pull it from the fridge, and now you're ready to pour in your filling, apply the egg wash and the pie crust protector, and pop it in the oven. For this pie, you're going to want to preheat your oven to 425 degrees. Place your rack on the lowest level, and if you have a pizza stone or a baking stone, use that on the lowest level rack as well. The baking stone really helps provide a firm, crisp crust, and it also helps the filling bake evenly all the way through. Once you put your pie in the oven, turn the temperature down to 350 degrees. I like to use regular bake for my pumpkin pies, and that works beautifully. So here we have our pumpkin pie with our gluten-free pie crust. Remember, the key with pie making is keeping everything cold, giving proper rest and refrigeration time. From start to finish, this pie will take you about 4 to 5 hours if you include all of the rest and refrigeration times and the baking time. Add on another 2 hours for the cooling time, so take that into consideration when you bake this pie. Enjoy!